The fight to see who will hold power in the House after the 2026 midterm election just got another major shakeup. The Supreme Court has now paved the way for Alabama to redraw its congressional map. It was a 6-3 ruling with Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissenting. Other new Democratic-leaning maps are still in effect in Utah and California, but this redistricting ramp-up follows last month's Supreme Court ruling, which narrowed the Voting Rights Act. Some are calling this a win for Republicans, but this latest piece from Sabato's Crystal Ball Center of Politics reads, redistricting makes the House map a bit redder, but not enough to protect Republicans from a wave. Now, that piece was written by Kyle Kondik. He's the managing editor for Sabato's Crystal Ball Center of Politics, and he's also a CBS News contributor, and he joins us right now. Kyle, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. So you write that the House map has taken on a larger GOP bias, but when it's all said and done, the bias by one measure may essentially be the same as it was in 2019 when Democrats easily won the House. So can you remind us what happened back in 2018 and why you think that could be the same case here?
Yeah, by a number of different measures, the U.S. House map in recent years has had something of a Republican bias. And so one of the ways of looking at it is just to look at all the districts by presidential performance from reddest to bluest and look at the one that's right in the middle. Prior to any redistricting, it was a district that Donald Trump won by 3 points in 2024. He won by 1.5 nationally, so that's like a 1.5 point bias. After all of this redistricting is done, the median district may be something more like Trump by 5 or 5.5, so like maybe a 4-point Republican bias. That's really about the same as it was in 2018. So it's a Republican-leaning House map, and it's gotten more Republican because of redistricting. But remember, back in 2018, Democrats had a big wave. They ended up winning 235 House seats, far beyond what they need for a majority. So Republicans have a better House map, but it doesn't insulate them if the environment is really bad in November.
And when you say like Republican bias, you mean Republican leaning. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, that's right. And another way of looking at it is that, this is kind of oversimplifying it, but maybe that if, Democrats basically need to win the national House popular vote by 4 points or more to sort of make up for a 4-point Republican lean on the overall U.S. House map. House generic ballot polling asking people, hey, are you going to vote for a Democrat or a Republican in your local House race? Democrats are leading by about 6 points on average in those polls. And so if they're able to achieve that or maybe do better than that, they should be in good shape in the House. But if it's more like 2022, which, Republicans won that year, but it was a more kind of muted national environment, maybe Republicans could hold the House if it's a more competitive overall national landscape.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. So earlier on CBS Morning News, we heard from Mark Morial. He is the CEO and the president of the National Urban League. And here's what he had to say about all this redistricting effort.
This decision strikes at the heart of American democracy, and the Supreme Court, which has a responsibility towards fairness and justice, has basically become a partisan political court made up, I think, of political hacks who decide what they want the outcome to be, and then they go back and try to justify it in their decision.
And so I want to get your take here, Kyle. Is he right about what he had to say? Is this decision harmful to our state of democracy?
I think part of the problem here is that the courts have made no attempt to try to mitigate our, the partisan gerrymandering problem in the United States, which is basically, I think, going to get worse over the, in this cycle and in cycles to come, because it really got kind of hypercharged. The Calais decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. I mean, look, I think you can make a good faith argument that maybe drawing sort of districts on sort of race conscious ways and to sort of prioritize majority minority districts. Maybe, I think you can make a reasonable case for and against that. But if you're also doing that in a world where there are basically no restrictions on partisan gerrymandering, a decision like that is just going to hypercharge gerrymandering. And so really what in a sensible country, you could have some sort of agreement either through the courts or through Congress in which you could have, strict criteria for how these districts are drawn that would mitigate this partisan gerrymandering problem. But we don't see these courts doing that. And I don't think we see Congress doing that either. And so the gerrymanders are probably just going to get sharper and sharper, both here in 2026 and frankly into 2028 and beyond too.
Yeah, it just keeps happening over and over, and it seems like there is no end in sight to this. Kyle Kondik, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.